PHS, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of What the Fuck is Warframe? That's vulgar language. I'll get kicked off YouTube for that. Alright, we'll clean that up and get started. Alright, so I know last time I gave kind of a really quick, rambly, general overview of what the hell this game is. So I just wanted to focus on one segment at a time, I think. So today's segment, we're going to go and look at the arsenal segment, quite possibly one of the most important segments of your ship, most useful things. So let's get in here. Mostly this is going to be about weapons and modding, but really all the things you can do in the arsenal. All right, in the arsenal, you can change which Warframe you use, which primary weapon, secondary, melee, what kind of companions you keep with you, what your companions are using, gear, and emotes, which is pretty much useless. All right, we'll start here down here. Gear. You end up getting things that can be useful on missions that are considered gear. Sometimes you get these through missions, you get these through blueprints, you can buy them using in-game credits, called credits, or you can buy them with platinum, which is real money, real monies. Anyway, and you can apply these things into your gear slots here and then use them when you play missions. So these are scanners, which you scan things. This is useful for missions. These are useful for Easter egg-ish kind of things. You scan things, and then if you scan so many on each roll, then it gives you a piece of artwork. Ciphers. If you don't want to do the puzzles by hand, which most of them are easy, but they can get kind of hard, difficult, depending on the time, and then you've got enemies all smashing you around and stuff. Anyway, ciphers are an easy one-click button for those. Specters, or any other type of sentinels that you can bring with you, you can kind of spawn them in. I currently have 0, but I could make more in the Foundry, which we'll talk about a Foundry segment later. But yeah, so there. Let's go back up here. All right. On each one of these, you can equip, upgrade, appearance, and in this case, this one has abilities. It just shows you your abilities. But anyway, equip, upgrade, and appearance. Appearance is what you use to make all of your stuff look however the heck you want. Really doesn't matter, but you get 3 A, B, and C. You get 3 sections for you to choose your Warframe's color patterns. Okay, so this is like my kind of professionally looking one. This one is kind of Tron looking, and this one's just Mountain Dew. Yeah. And in here you can basically change each and every part of your Warframe to get different color looks. Now, one thing you should know about colors is that when you start out, you don't get this cool green. You actually have to earn platinum and unlock these color palettes. But you start off with classic, so you've got basic colors to start with. Safe bet is classic saturated. If you're going to end up buying one, you do get a little bit of platinum as soon as you start your game. I would save it for things that are more important, but if you want to be able to color your guy however you want, classic saturated has a good amount of colors in it. Then you can also in here attach things like this cape thing. Change the heads if you have heads, helmets, excuse me. So that's under appearance. Under upgrades, this is where we get into mods. All right, so this is the part that can get fun. I'm currently actually just farming mastery rank right now. This is not a weapon that I use very often, so let's just go ahead and switch to one that I do with the equip function. Okay, so if they have these laurels on them, then that means you own them, and then this one's equipped, obviously. These are the 2 weapons I use the most, an automatic and then a regular bow. I use these because they're quiet and they have high crit. I like high crit damage because, truthfully, I feel like this game relies heavily on melee, and so I'm going to take a couple of shots during sneaky missions with the bow, and other than that, when I'm on missions that are not sneaky and I'm running with a crew and it's just all out war, it's melee all the way. So I use bows. Alright. So modding this, let's find an empty category and I'll show you about this. All right, so when each time you get a weapon, you're going to have a certain number of these slots available. And in these slots, you have a total of 60 capacity. And that's in the nearing top left corner. There's this capacity 60 out of 60. So I have 60 open, a number in a total of 8 slots. And then all of these cards down here have a number on them as well. This is 12, 9, 9, 9, 9. 9. That's a lot of 9s. 12s, 2s, 4. And whenever you apply this on here, say this one would take 4 away and leave me with 56 open left. And then in each of these slots, you have a symbol up here. These symbols right here. Madurai, Vizarin, Naraman. If you have a slot that's got this special symbol in it, and you apply a card in there that has the same symbol, then it will make the cost of the card in half. So right here I have a mod that does 135% damage. It costs 12. However, with the slot, I can take this and put it here, and all of a sudden it becomes only 6. So whenever you first get your weapon, you only have so many of these slots, and they're called polarized, but you only have so many polarized slots. You can buy or farm. You can farm it's called a forma key, where you can polarize these slots. When you polarize these slots, you can make it whatever you want. So if you want to apply this Eagle Eye mod, and you already have something in this slot here, you can make another slot that has that same polarization, and then it will use half the amount of the number towards the capacity. And you can actually use a forma on every slot in here. To do this, you use what's called a forma key. You can put that on every single one. Now, one thing you should know about using forma keys is whenever you apply a forma key to one of these slots, it takes the level of your weapon from the maximum rank, which is 30, back down to 0 again, and you'll have to re-rank your weapon, which is basically you just go out and use it. Now, the thing that kind of sucks is whenever you take your weapon back to 0, the number of capacity goes down to 0. So your capacity is basically the level of your weapon. Now, in this case, you see here that this says capacity is 60. There's also things you can farm called Orokin cells. Or Orokin catalyst. In this case, it says an Orokin catalyst is installed, so I will always have double the amount of available capacity than normal. So as of right now, I'm at level 30, I have 60. When you're at level 10, you have 20. When you're level 1, you have 2. So it always doubles. So Orokin catalysts are incredibly important, and formas can get important too. You can use forma keys to polarize a slot, and then you can actually change the polarities of slots as well later on. That way, in case you want to change your mod cards around and put different ones in, you can do that. Knowing what to do in modding can get very difficult, but for the most part, you can do a set it and forget it. It doesn't always work, but you can hit the R3 button, which says down here, it says R3 actions. Go over to auto install, and it will fill it up with what it thinks is best. So I'm going to see if I agree with this here. Let's see, we've got 135, yep, we've got serration on here. This is good. 135% extra damage is always good. 30% to puncture. Puncture is good. This is a bow, it already has high puncture, so increasing, so increasing that is good. Speeding up, making your bow shoot twice as fast is good. %150% critical chance. This is important because this gets the critical chance of my bow all the way up to 100%. Which means every shot becomes crit, which means every shot does at least appear, according to this, 2.3 times the amount. So, and I've seen this bow currently crit at 6,000. Not that that means much, but magazine capacity on a bow, really not useful. I'm going to remove that one. Now, what I would put in here is reload speed. So now the time it takes to get the arrow from your quiver into your bow just became faster. Anyway,
Tenno, a new alert has begun. It will be marked on navigation.
So this is how I normally set it up. And then basically this same setup goes with all of your weapons, also including your Warframe. In here though, things can get a little more tricky, because in here you also have an aura slot and an Exilis slot, which both of these have to be unlocked, and it'll take a second to get to them, especially the Exilis slot. This is just an auxiliary slot. Some people would say or argue that it's not worth farming for it. Alright, so all these slots are just the same as the other one. I have added an additional Forma key here, and I plan to add additional keys in the rest of these because I want to make this thing have as much capacity as I can. Aura slots are important. So if we go down here and look at just the aura cards, I have a bunch of different aura cards. You need to, in the aura slot, make sure that your polarization matches. Because in this one, instead of the amount cutting in half, it doubles. But instead of taking away from your capacity, it actually adds to your capacity. So as of right now, if I put one up here that doesn't match, it'll actually give me a penalty of 2. So if I put rifle, this one, EMP aura up there, it gave me 1 extra into my capacity. However, if I use energy siphon, which is 7, and it matches, it'll double. So this gives me an additional 14. So now I have an additional 14 capacity on here, which is important because you want to be able to stick as many mods into your Warframe as possible. So this is how I'm currently running. I am not fully upgraded yet, though. I just recently polarized a slot, which was this one here, to put in redirection, which added 280% shield capacity. And then eventually I'm going to polarize another one for vitality, which is 320% health. But this is how I'm using this currently. My setup for this particular thing, not that it matters a whole lot to you, but for this particular guy, I've got it set up that I run fast and I shock people as I run by them. And that's why I have this particular, I sought out this particular Exilis card for 30% sprint speed to attach along with shocking speed, which means I can run fast, very fast for a long period of time and shock things, which also is why I used continuity, which actually increases the amount of time my special abilities can be used, and then power strength increased the amount of damage the electricity comes off of me. It does. You pick up all of these cards throughout the world, whether they're a gift from missions or alerts. We just call them alerts. So the triangular shaped one is alerts. In this case, this is giving you credits and a control module. Sometimes it will give you credits and a mod card or an aura or an Exilis card. Or you just pick them up by killing people in missions and they drop them. So we talked about weapons and we talked about modding. I think we actually have a little bit of time. Companions. There's actually a couple different types of companions you can use. You can use these little floaty ones that fly around your head that all look freaking weird. Or you can use a pet, which is still a companion, but it's a pet instead, which you actually grow from eggs. Pros and cons between the two. If you have a pet, you can revive it. If it gets shot and it's dying and it's bleeding out, you can go over, do the magic healing spell, and you can start to revive it, which is nice. Whereas the Sentinel is a mechanical kind of esque device that once it's shot down, it doesn't bleed out, it's just dead. Now they do have a mod you can attach to these that will give it a one-time rebirth, if you will. It'll come back to life. I use this particular one because it has a vacuum actually it's the only Sentinel I have. I chose to go away from the pet because the pet can run off a distance and then can die, and then it can be difficult to get to. Whereas I like this, he stays right over my head and I don't have to worry about him too much. We'll talk about modding these things. Alright, when you get a companion, you actually have two parts to mod. The actual body itself and then its weapon. Similar to how you have your body and then your weapon. The mods for your actual Sentinels, and Sentinels are going to come later if you're going to play, but the mods for the Sentinels are really kind of lackluster. I really just threw stuff in here because I was like, well, I should fill it up. Yeah. One-time regeneration. This one is the most important one, especially since I told you that I've got the run fast thing going on. I'm not really paying attention to picking up every little thing off the ground. So now this detects and collects items throughout the room, including mods. So vacuum allows my Sentinel to pick up stuff within, I believe, a 12-meter, what the game considers 12 meters, so about a 12-meter range. So while I'm just running around, shocking stuff, as things die, this will pick things up for me. If it does get shot and it dies, there's a 7.5% chance it'll give me something cool. Obviously, health is important. Shield recharge. Shield recharge is actually rather important, so I do have this one leveled up. You can see by the little blue dots on the bottom of this card. Recharge is important because I also have Guardian equipped. So whenever my shielding runs out, this particular Sentinel with these set of cards will reactivate my shields. So it boosts the shield when it runs out. And I've got this one ranked up a little bit too, because it will do it faster. But once it re-ups my shields, I want to make sure that it re-ups its own shields. So have that one on. Plus increased capacity. This one is a must-have to make sure that your Sentinel actually shoots things. And then by leveling up this one, you actually increase the range at which it can shoot. Now this particular Sentinel has a shotgun, so the range is not sure how much it matters, but I wanted to get the farthest range that I could to get as much damage output as I could. And then doing its weapon is the same as you do any of your weapons. Sometimes they are specific, so I know that this particular Sentinel has a shotgun, so I'm using shotgun mods. Chance to shoot multiple targets. That one's important. Things like slash and impact and puncture, they do different things. That's where the numbers get really deep down in the rabbit hole, and you can really change those numbers to be best depending on what type of enemies you're fighting. I try to use a good combination of all of them that I can, or I try to kind of follow along with what the weapon is doing to begin with. But slash is important because if it is a soft humanoid, slash causes bleed out. So it does damage, and then while you're continuing to do damage, they're also just bleeding out, slowly losing damage. Whereas puncture will be good against armored targets. It will go through and then cause additional damage to armored targets. Obviously, just fire rate is always a DPS increase, and then a straight DPS increase. So you do have a segment over here where you can adjust these mods, but you can actually do all of your modding from right here. Nope, wrong one. So right now I have one capacity left. Alright, so if I want to rank up this card 1, here I'll press square button for mods. It will automatically take me to the mods segment, and it will show me the mods that are applied on that particular thing. If you just go over here by itself, it'll show you every mod you have. If I do it from the arsenal, it'll take you just the ones that I have equipped. So vitality, if I want to increase the health of the Sentinel, I select it, and then once I selected the card, I need to tell the game what am I doing with it. I don't want to sell it or dissolve it. I actually want to increase its I want to make it better. So you'll select fusion, and then from here you can just R1, L1 to how much you want to rank it up. One click is one rank. So this will go from level 2 to level 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, 8. Each time you do this, it's going to cost two things: in-game, your in-game monies, credits, and then also endo. And endo is also world pickups, and that's the actual energy it takes to fuse the card or to rank the card. So and then this is scaled. You can see 30 to 70 to 150. It roughly doubles each time. Actually, it's double plus a small percentage, it looks like. But so you can see how these get really costly to max them out. But at max, this would give a 220% health to my Sentinel. And that's how you upgrade a card. We could spend an entire amount of time on the mod section because you end up getting so much of these cards. You end up getting so much of these, it's like, what do you do with them? Well, and the truth is, eventually you set aside some time after you get an amount. I don't even think I'm getting close to the end. Anyway, you can dissolve these and turn them into endo, or you can sell them back into credits. So depending on what you need more, you can get rid of them that way. Or if you have one that is particularly, let's see, sort by rarity. So arrow mutation. No, I wouldn't call that rare. Energy field? Okay, so this is an augment card. This would be considered a rare card. I could sell this on the open market for actual platinum. Stance slots. Oh, we didn't talk about stances. We should do that. All right, on your Warframe, you have the Aura and the Exilis slots. Primary weapons also have an additional slot as well.
Excellent armaments, operator. Please return covered in blood.
Ortis. I told you guys about him, right? He's a little broken. So same thing with here. Make sure that the polarization matches, and then it doubles. So this is kind of like basically the same as an aura for your Warframe. It does the same thing. It gives you increased, but also this will give you different combos. So the combo buttons are still the same. It's just how they look and the damage they do is different. So if you want one that is more, I'm using these blades right now just for farming mastery rank. So this is focused attacks. So this particular aura stance would be good for doing damage to a single target. So if you're going, boss mode. Actually, it looks like all of these are. But they all have a little bit different things. Some might be better at wall jumps, some might be better at slides or spins. But when you apply these, it will show you your combos. Anyway, I use this one because it matches. And then the same thing with all these. You can form all of these. You can increase using a Oracle catalyst. Same thing with your Volt. You can use. I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty quick here. You can also use here, instead of an Oracle catalyst, it's actually an Oracle reactor, which is actually a little bit harder to find. You can find Oracle catalysts and Oracle reactors. If you find them randomly dropped on missions, I would be highly surprised, but for the most part, you find them during missions, alert missions. So be looking out for those. All right. Yeah, so that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's this is the most important section of the ship, where you can do all the great stuff. If you guys have any questions about this, obviously this will be dropped into the Facebook group, and then also you'll be able to leave comments on the video below here in YouTube. But if you have any questions, or if I missed something, or if you need some more clarification, please leave me a message either on YouTube or here on YouTube, or on the Facebook post in the group, and we'll talk about it, or I can explain a little more. Or if there's something I don't know, I can look it up and share it with you guys. Yeah, until then, PTFO or GTFO.